You could say winter is the worst time of year to stay overnight in your van, especially at the side of the road. And it's probably even worse when there's a storm outside. But I actually quite enjoy it because there's nothing quite like getting up early in the morning and going for a nice stormy walk along the beach. Well, at least that's what I thought. This seems like a really good idea in the van. Good evening, good evening, good evening. This evening I've come down to Newquay for a nice little night out in Newquay. When I say night out, I'm going to go out and get some dinner and I'm just going to find somewhere to park. I'm literally just parked up at like a side road at the minute. Probably not going to stay here tonight. I mean, I could stay here, but I don't really want to. The only reason is because it's going to be quite stormy tonight. So I figured it might be quite nice to wake up in the morning with some form of a view, but I might end up having to stay here. It's a little bit slim pickings, but it is really windy out there. The wind's blowing like anything, and I am going to go out and see if I can get some dinner in a minute. But I'm surprised I even made it here at all. I am still having van problems. I was flooring it and it just wouldn't go past like 3,000 RPM. Come on, go faster! And once it picks up momentum, it tends to be fine, but all it takes is for you to get stuck behind one slow driver, lose all your revs that you've built up, and then you're literally crawling at sort of 30 miles an hour in a 60, holding up a huge queue of traffic behind me. It was a little bit embarrassing. But hey ho, I am starving. I'm gonna head out now in the pouring rain to see if I can find somewhere to eat. I mean, where's good to eat in Newquay in the winter? Pretty windy out tonight, pretty windy. Just remember there's a pub up the road here called The Fort with lovely views of the water. I mean, obviously it's going to be too dark to see anything now, but still might be worth a try. 7 seats tonight?
Yeah, 7 seats tonight.
So I'm sure the view from up here is absolutely lovely in the daytime, but you can barely see anything now. But what better to do on a windy, rainy night, rather than just sitting in the van all night? Come to a nice pub that sells food until 9 o'clock. I could lose a few hours here, I reckon. Can I just get a hummus chicken, please? Can I get a side of onion rings as well? Part of me's thinking I should probably not move the van tonight and just stay where I am. Can't be that bad a spot, can it? Based on how the weather is now, if I get too close to the coast, I reckon that I'm not going to sleep very well because the van will just be sort of shaking from side to side. So I might just leave it where it is. According to the sign, when I was looking at it, it literally said that you can park there between sort of like 6 o'clock in the evening till 9 o'clock in the morning. I'll just have to make sure I get up early. Now, I always say I ordered too much food. Well, definitely did this time. It's a bit stormy out here. Back to the van. Definitely getting cold now. It's not raining or anything, but I've got my hood up because it's cold. If only I had a woolly hat to keep me warm. That was awful weather. But luckily I do have a hat to put on. And I actually think this is becoming my all-time new favourite hat. But I'll explain why at the end of the video. Now, I mentioned in my last video that I'm starting to think about getting a new van. And one of the things nobody ever tells you is how difficult it is to get a van in Cornwall. Unless you're willing to sort of travel up to like Birmingham or somewhere, or anywhere sort of where there's a major city, vans tend to be abundant up there. But down here, one comes in, you think about arranging a viewing, and you phone the guy up and he says, "It's sold, mate." Literally the day that it arrives. So it looks like I'm gonna have to go further afield to find my van, but there's so much to consider when buying a new van. And one of the biggest decisions is, what type of van do I want? Because there are so many different van layouts. From short wheelbase low tops to extra long wheelbase high tops. And I want something in between. Now, there are many pros and cons to any of these vans. The van I have now is perfect because I can park it anywhere and it even fits under barriers, but there's just not enough space. Now, I could stick with a low top but a long wheelbase, but that would only give me a little bit more space. A high top short wheelbase would allow me to have a higher bed, but still not have a great amount of space. Whereas a long wheelbase high top would give me space under the bed and space in the living area, but not the extra long wheelbase. as that would take up 2 parking spaces. But a long wheelbase high top would tick most of my boxes, but would also restrict areas in which I could park, like the height barriers. Now, one way around the height barrier would be to get a long wheelbase low top, but then put a pop top on it. But the problem with that, with the style of camping that I do, it wouldn't be very stealth. So I guess I got a lot of thinking to do. Hear that rain out there? It is gonna be a stormy night. Right, but on that note, I'll see you in the morning. Good night. It's about 1:30 in the morning. The wind is literally like rocking the van like this, and I just had this like feeling that because I'm on like a slight hill where I am, like, what if my handbrake fails or something? Like, I don't know. I just woke up thinking about it. So now I'm thinking, did I leave the van in gear just in case the handbrake fails while I'm sleeping in the back? So I'm gonna get out and just check. But I've got to get out in that. Wish me luck. That's better. So I'm literally just in the middle of editing this video, and I've just realised there's a section where there's just no audio. And what happens, this is the sort of main camera that I shoot on. I dropped it at one point of the evening, and this part here just came loose. It didn't even come all the way out. So I carried on filming with it, and I've got no audio. Luckily, I film on a multitude of cameras, so I can save the video. But for the parts where there's no audio, I'll just have to do a voiceover. Good morning. I probably slept really well. I believe I slept really well. I want to get a closer look at these waves from a safe distance, obviously. There's loads of this sea foam just blowing around. Seems like a really good idea in the van. This is Fistral Beach. I very rarely come down here, to be honest. Right, I think I might see if I can get a coffee. So I moved the van, which was running fine by the way, so I don't know what was wrong with it last night. I moved the van into town, parked up, and went on a mission to find a coffee. There is a Costa down here, I know that, and I definitely know they'll be open. is quite surreal sometimes how just around the corner, you know, the weather was atrocious. And just here at Harbour Beach, like, you know, the waves are good enough that people can surf. Crazy. Just gonna finish my coffee in the van, I think. So for those of you that have been wondering, Sean, you've got a new hat. Yes, I do have a new hat. And this was actually sent to me by the people over at Cosin. They sent the hat to me for free, along with a load of free stickers as well, which very kind of you. Thank you, I really appreciate it. So I figured it would probably be nice of me just to sort of give you guys a shout out, because this hat kept me so warm last night, and walking around in the miserable rain, even though it's wet on the outside, it's still bone dry inside, which is kind of what you want. I always get put off wearing hats like this when it's raining, because you think, well, it's going to just get soggy and horrible, but because it's kind of like fleece lined as well, the bit that just sort of goes around the front of your head there. Maybe head over to their website if you want any sort of local surfy brand type clothing, hats, hoodies, that sort of thing, and check them out. That's their website. They also have an Instagram, so if you're going to pop over there, just let them know that Sean from Love Sunday sent you. But on that note, as my jeans are soaked right through, I'm going to head home, and I'll see you next week. Cheers!